Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright, how's your Monday going? Review of the week time. So, this weekend, a little bit more action-packed in terms of some of the fights we had on. We had cards on Friday, and we had cards on Saturday. I only covered one fight from the Saturday card, but we'll bring it back. We'll start with the Friday night card. So, Jojo Diaz defeated Javier Fortuna. Now, I'm going to be frank, right? I picked Javier Fortuna to win that fight. Why? Because even at featherweight, Jojo Diaz never impressed me. And he missed weight at featherweight a couple of years ago. Went to 130. To be fair, he won a world title at 130. I didn't think he'd beat Tevin Farmer, but he did. And then he missed weight there. I don't think Jojo Diaz is a natural 135 pounder. I think he's more a lazy 130 pounder. Now, he is now mandatory, I believe, for Devin Haney. That's a decent little scrap. Haney would win the fight for me, personally. But Diaz will come to give it his all. He'll come to win. Devin Haney now is no longer affiliated or promoted by Eddie Hearn. So, with regards to that, Haney could be doing what the Canelo Alvarez kind of route. And he could be just going to go fully independent and do his own thing. But work with motors along the side. I believe he was doing something similar with Eddie Hearn. But maybe now he'll just go fully independent and just work with whatever network gives him the most money. So, Jojo Diaz did that. Top of the bill was Gilberto Zudu Ramirez. At 175... he's been looking a bit more devastating, although saying that, he's not really... He made his debut at 175 against Carpensi. Carpensi was never that good, even 5-6 years ago, and he's certainly not now. So that was his debut. He fought on, I think, his own card before Christmas. It was a kind of journeyman show. Michael Hunter was on that. And now he's had this win over Sullivan Barrera. Sullivan Barrera is a good name, theoretically, but again, Barrera is 39 years old. He's massive at light heavyweight. He's massive at that weight for years. I'd say he struggles no matter, don't know how he gets down to that weight. And he's always had chin issues. Like, even in the fights he's won, he's been down in. So, yeah, a decent name for Gilberto Ramirez, but certainly Barrera's seen much, much better days. So, that was the Friday night one. Obviously, I covered Archie Sharp last night. Wasn't too impressed by Archie Sharp, it has to be said, you know. Pretty much since the Leon Woodstock fight, he's not looked good. You know, he got that highlight reel knockout against Garrity a couple of years ago, but that, even in that fight, he was behind. He was getting outboxed by Declan Garrity, which is not exactly a good look to have. So we need to see how Archie Sharp goes. He's a work in progress still. We'll need to just watch him. But Lyndon Arthur, now, I watched that fight, but I didn't cover it. It was Lyndon Arthur kind of showing that he has ability, he can punch a bit, you know, but at the end of the day, he was very lackluster at times, and he did get outworked for a couple of rounds. Going into that, I think it was the 9th round, it was competitive. Like, that was a fight that if you gave someone the swing rounds to his opponent, you know, you could have had it either way. He was able to get the stoppage. Sonny Edwards was doing the analysis for that fight, and I gotta say, I gotta big up Sonny Edwards on several things, by the way, because Sonny Edwards, he really gets it. I'll leave it at that. But in terms of boxing, excellent pundit. You know, he really is. Sonny Edwards has a great boxing brain. And him and his trainer, Grant Smith. Grant Smith's another one who has a very good boxing brain. They seem to be just a very good combination of fighter and trainer. But Sonny Edwards, his punditry and his analysis, especially for someone who's so young, you know, Sonny Edwards is only in his mid-20s. He is very much ahead. Like, you could tell he loves the game. He loves boxing. He watches boxing religiously. And he's got a boxing brain. You know, very often, it has to be said, we see, not necessarily pundits, well, yes, in some cases pundits, but a lot of boxers, even some top-level boxers, are almost, how do I describe it? Some of them are almost kind of happy about the fact that, yes, they're professional boxers, they're very good professional boxers, but in terms of watching boxing, they don't do it much. You know, I remember James McDonnell, back when he was fighting, and back when he was a world champion, he kind of almost used to take pride in the fact that he never knew who his opponents were because he didn't watch them, and, you know, he was just like, I don't like boxing, I just do it. And, you know, I always find that fighters who religiously watch the sport, who love the sport, who, you know, Sonny Edwards strikes me as someone with such a good boxing brain, they tend to go further because they have respect for, as I say respect, but they have a great appreciation for the sport. You know, they're constantly looking at things in their opponent. I think as well as that, right, if you have a good boxing brain, Your trainer could notice this, but you might also notice certain things. So you could have the information that your trainer's giving you, but there might be things that he doesn't pick up that you do. So therefore, you're gaining a little bit of insight as well if you know what you're really looking for. So Sonny Edwards, big up to him. As I said, Lyndon Arthur did what he needed to do. He got the win. Anthony Yarde was meant to be on this card. His opponent pulled out. Now, I don't know why his opponent pulled out. He didn't give a specific reason. He just said unforeseen circumstances. I would imagine likelihood is visa issues probably. That was probably more the reason why, because they didn't specify, and normally they do if it's something else, you know. So I reckon it was probably visa issues or something like that. Maybe his opponent just couldn't try. Who knows? But it wasn't a great opponent anyway. So it's not like we were going to see, you know, Gary Ward or something like that. We weren't. But Anthony Yarde, I always like to see Anthony Yarde to see if there's any improvements there. So we'll have to see when he's out again next. Dennis McCann was on that card. Dennis McCann, excellent fighter. Really is one of the most impressive British prospects pretty much in Britain right now. Very, very impressive. Really liking what I see with Dennis McCann. Very young, bantamweight. He's only 20 years old. So there's a lot of improvements to be made there. They don't need to rush him. But the way he's talking, he's fighting anyone. He's called out Prince Patel. That'd be a decent little scrap. It'd be an all-British affair. But Patel, it seems with Patel that he just wants either a world title or nothing. You know, he's fighting these obscure opponents in Hungary and Egypt and, you know, Africa and places like that. So it seems like if it's not world title, it's bust for Prince Patel. I don't think he's going to want to entertain domestic scraps. In terms of Yarde Arthur, which is a fight that the first time around never really caught fire until the 12th round, Anthony Yarde should be winning that fight if and when they have it. He really should. For me, Anthony Yarde showed in that fight when he goes and applies pressure and let his right hand go. He was the better fighter. He just let himself get outboxed. I said it once, I'll say it again. I mean, Lyndon Arthur, no disrespect, but Anthony Yarde lost that fight, the first fight, more than Arthur's won it. Certainly. You know, he allowed himself to get his head jabbed off. So we'll need to see how that goes. We also although this is 100% boxing, there was an MMA show, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier 3. McGregor lost via first round stoppage. He blew his ankle or something like that. I believe the winner of this fight was set to be mandatory for the UFC lightweight world title, but it seems as though Dana White is content to have a fourth fight between the two guys. At the end of the day, I watched it. It was looking like Poirier was going to win. Just from what I saw, Poirier looked to be the more assured in there. He looked to be just slightly better. He looked sharper. McGregor really, he's had how many fights in the last 3 years? He's a Khabib, he had that Cowboy fight, he's a 2 Poirier fight. So he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. 3 of his last 4 fights he's lost. It's not a great look for McGregor. And if you take the Mayweather fight into consideration, that's 4 of his last 5 fights if you want to count that, although it was in professional boxing. If you want to count that as a fight, it's not a good look for McGregor. I've never been a fan of Conor McGregor ever. I respect what he's done, you know, being able to make as much money as he has and achieve the things he has in the octagon. I've never been a fan of him, never liked his personality, never been a fan of the trash. And I normally like trash talkers, but McGregor is just a typical... I'm kind of going to be insulting myself, but he's a typical inner city dub, you know. And I'm not from the inner city, by the way. But someone who's just, he gives it a lot of that, and... you know, not really someone who I myself would really want to... not someone I would like, pretty much. That's the best way to describe it. Even in 2013, 2014, when he came around first, I didn't like the guy. And I remember in Ireland... see, this is how silly some Irish people are. Like, they really are silly. I remember at one stage with McGregor, I think it was when he was fighting Mayweather. I remember going the night out a couple of days before, or a couple of weeks before, I should say. And there was a guy who was like, well, you can never call yourself Irish if you don't like McGregor. You know, if you don't like Conor McGregor, you're officially British. And I was like, you see, that is a reason why I say Irish people, some of them are just so dumb. It's not even funny. Like, how does liking someone prove what kind of, you know, whether you're a good person or not? Seriously, you know, absolutely ridiculous. But McGregor lost that fight. Now, why is it interesting about that card? Well, a certain Joseph Parker was at that event. I've done a video on that. And interestingly enough, he uploaded him at that event to his Instagram story That's gone now. And I know people would tell me, yeah, gee, but 24 hours and that goes down. It wasn't 24 hours by the time he let it down. He took it down. So obviously someone had words saying, get that you-know-what down now. Because you shouldn't have been at that because, well, we all know. Now, Tyson Fury, obviously we know the Deontay Wilder fight's getting pushed back. I think I've done enough videos on that, but I'll just say it again. It really is annoying that this is being dragged on as long as it is. You know, it really, truly is. Again, Tyson Fury, he's yet to make a defense of any title. This is so like in fact, the Vladimir Klitschko rematch was meant to happen in July of 2016. And that got, ironically, this could be getting pushed back to October. That was when the Klitschko rematch, because it was rescheduled twice. It was originally scheduled for July 9th, I believe, 2016. Then it was scheduled for end of October 2016, and it never happened. I really hope something similar doesn't happen. Like, I really hope that we're not going down this road again. Seriously, you'd be surprised. Those who do not learn from history doomed to repeat it. But I really hope we're not going down this road. I know with Klitschko, it was a lot more titles that were scattered. This one with WBC, but I really, truly hope we're not going down that road again. Seriously. God knows what will happen. I don't... They were scheduling this fight for October, but with Fury, can you really hold out much hope with him that this will actually get there? And at the end of the day, like after the AJ debacle, even if this fight does happen and he beats Deontay Wilder, would you even be confident that we'd get AJ next? Seriously, you know? It's been absolutely just crazy. Let's have a look at some of the other news. Oh, and I must mention as well, Zach Parker fought on the Frank Warren card yesterday, and he is looking very good lately. You know, I remember he fought on a Matchroom show a couple of years. Well, actually, no. One of the first times I remember seeing it was when he fought a guy called Darryl Williamson, and I think that was on the undercard of Donaire versus Burnett, and he got. And I don't often call fights robbery, but that was a robbery. Zach Parker lost that fight, but ever since then he's really improved. So he's called out Canelo. All right. But in all seriousness, he is mandatory for the WBO title. So if Canelo does unify with or become undisputed, you would imagine he will vacate, and who knows, he might fight for a vacant title. What do we have in the world of boxing? We're seeing a lot of Pacquiao, Spence. That fight obviously is near and ever more closer. It's interesting, you know. I'm going to be getting some Pacquiao Spence videos coming up in the next week or two, just giving my 2 cents on it. I won't do a prediction video until probably early August, but I'm getting intrigued about that fight. I really am. A part of me is wondering, could Pacquiao old man Errol Spence? But then saying that, another part of me is thinking he's out of the ring 2 years. And inactivity can hit people who, like if you're out of the ring 2 years and you're 31 and you're 33 then by the time you come back in, that can have an impact. Pacquiao was going, 42? So it's definitely going to have an impact, but how much? Is it going to be a case of this is going to be an over-the-hill Pacquiao? Because someone could say, gee, he can't be over the hill. He's been out of the ring 2 years, he's 42 years old. It's not outside the realms of possibility. Now, Tim Tszyu, eager to face Danny Garcia, Liam Smith, Tony Harrison. Tim Tszyu has been making a name for himself out there in Australia. He's been doing very well. I was a bit upset that he didn't fight Michael Rafa, because Rafa is a decent fighter. I know we slagged him off against Kell Brook, but I think he's gone on to prove that he has a bit of ability there. Tim Tszyu is a very good, we won't call him a prospect anymore. I think he's gone past that level now. I think he's gone into contender level now. Liam Smith coming off the back of a loss, still a very good fight. Tony Harrison, I believe, is there for the taking. I think he's there for the taking now. Tony Harrison I rated once upon a time, but I think that he's just, the chin's always been an issue for Harrison. A very good boxer, but I don't think he's got it anymore. Danny Garcia has been talking about moving up to 154 pounds. I don't think that is a very good idea personally. I think that they are, like, Danny Garcia is not the biggest welterweight in the world. He's decent sized welterweight, but he's not the biggest. Remember, he came from 140. So seeing that, I think against someone like Tim Tszyu, who is a fully fledged super welterweight, and a big one at that, might not end well for Danny Garcia, but saying that, it's a name to have on Tim Tszyu's scalp. I reckon when Charlo Castano fight, which is no foregone conclusion that Charlo win that fight, it's a very interesting fight. I think Castano stylistically can give him problems. I think that the belts will be fragmented, and I think that's when we could see Tim Tszyu pick up a title. Also, another news: Manny Pacquiao, he has not been reinstated as WBA champion. Okay, so they've stated that here, because believe me, I genuinely thought they would. I thought they'd reinstate him as champion, but they made him champion in recess. So Yarde Ugas gets to keep his title. They're talking about Andre Berto as Ugas' next title defense. Oh, sweet Jesus, no. Andre Berto, God almighty, is he even still around? Andre Berto, Jesus, people. Last time I seen him was when did he lose or did he beat Devin Alexander? But he definitely got stopped by Sean Porter. So Andre Berto's still around. Dylan White has offered to step in against Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder still wants to go ahead with the July 24th date, Eddie Hearn has stated that, as has Dylan White. They have been trying to get that fight made for years. Team Wilder, not Deontay. I think Deontay would take that fight. Maybe not now because he knows he's got the Fury fight, but I think in the past he would have taken that fight. But his team seemed unwilling. I don't know why. And I remember Deontay saying he'll make Dylan White 2 years. It says here that Dylan White has actually stated that he wants Fury to be made champion in recess, upgrade him to full world champion so he can fight Deontay Wilder. WBC ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna do that. Dylan White, if ever a man deserves a crack at a title, I know we could have had a shot against AJ 2 years ago, but if ever a man does, it should be Dylan White. They ain't going to do that, especially if it's not a long-term injury for Tyson Fury. Like, if Tyson Fury pulled out of the Deontay Wilder fight with a broken leg or something like that, and you knew it would take maybe 6 to 8 months to recover, yeah, they probably would do it. But not if it's only going to be a couple of weeks, or bring it back to October. But God knows, will it even happen in October? At this stage, it's up in the air, lads and lassies. It's up in the air. That's pretty much the week in a nutshell, Don't want to keep this video too long. I left in the middle of the penalty shootout, so I don't know what happened in the Euros, right? Because it is exactly, what time is it there? Don't know if you can see that, but it's like 10:53, right? So I don't know if you can see that. So it's either gone home or it's gone to Rome. And personally, I hope it's gone to London, personally, because I got friends in London. People I know close to me have family out there, so I'm all good. And believe me, I've been to the UK. They've always been good to me, so I have no reason to dislike anyone from the UK. If anything, people from the UK have been nicer to me than people from my own country, believe it or not. So hopefully it's gone home. You'll let me know in the comment section, but I'll know as soon as I finish recording here. So all the best. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a great week, by the way. Seriously, hope you have a great week. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. It's up there. Yeah. Smash the like button, subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. For the lads and lasses, I'll talk to you. Peace.